Blog Talk Radio.
Tell you how we do it. There ain't nothing to it. We're gonna get right to it. You ready? You ready? This is the ProMMANow.com radio network.
It is fight week in Pennsylvania and Virginia, and tonight we're going to get you caught up on the two events that are going down this Saturday night. First hour, we're going to talk about Pinnacle Fighting Championships. Mark Cherico, Luis Guerra this Saturday for the professional featherweight title. Nick Smiley versus Adam Milstead. Stat card going on over in Pittsburgh. Second hour, our friends from the Victorium down in Virginia are coming back. Giovanni Lemm, after some trials and tribulations, finally going to get the third installment of his promotion off ground. We've got a ton of great interviews all lined up for you tonight on Bluegrass MMA Live.
Now tuned into the motherfucking greatest.
Fighters first, fans always. The Ohio Valley's #1 source for MMA. Broadcasting on the ProMMANow.com radio network. Brought to you by Bangtown Fightwear. This is Bluegrass MMA Live. And now, here are your hosts, Juan Valley and Gary Thomas.
You could be anywhere in the world, but you're right here with us, and we love you for that. This is episode 181 of Bluegrass MMA Live, brought to you by our good friends at Bangtown Fightwear. Make sure you check them out at BangtownFightwear.com. We're also brought to you by Audible.com. Audible is the leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever, wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free trial. audibletrial.com/ProMMA now. We're off and running on this second week of July 2014. We just came off a huge weekend in mixed martial arts. If you were out in the Vegas area, you got to take in International Fight Week. We got to see a couple guys from the Ohio Valley in the UFC. One did well. One got paid and didn't do so well. Let's bring in my co-host, Mr. Juan Valley. Juan, Dan Spahn got a fight of the season for the Ultimate Fighter 19, but he came up short in the finale. Will we see him back in the UFC?
I think given his performance on the Ultimate Fighter this season, he was one of the highlights of what Dana White calls the worst season of tough. We're no doubt going to see him again. It's just a matter of time before we do see that.
I thought, his knockouts to get in the house was awesome, and then the decisions, won a decision, lost a decision in the semifinals. I don't know. We'll see if they bring him back. If you're on the Ultimate Fighter, you get a one-fight contract. He got his one fight, but with the way things are going, UFC breaking, UFC 176, August 2nd, Aaron Garrett can be happy, has been canceled.
Is that the official word?
It's the official word. It's not. 176 will happen. It'll just be what 177 was supposed to be in Sacramento later on.
Are you sure? Because 151 never happened, and 151 was the first canceled event. They just skipped right next to 152.
I think they've got enough time to rearrange the numbers. We're still, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out?
From the second, no, we're almost a month out. 3.5 weeks or so.
Yeah.
So, you're right. They do have plenty of time to make the changes if they do decide to go that route instead of kind of just skipping over it.
They're going to shuffle all the fighters on the different cards. But happy for Luke Zachrich. If anybody saw him on UFC Fight Pass, he absolutely destroyed Guilherme Vasconcelos. Picked him apart with that Rob Radford striking. Juan Valley, how happy are we for Luke Zachrich?
I'm very excited. It's been a long time coming for him. And, some of the things that have been written about him in the past couple of weeks, one of the things was, that he was close to retiring. And in fact, I was at the UBC show where he did kind of allude to this was it. He was done. He might step back into the cage afterwards, but it was kind of highly unlikely. But he didn't necessarily rule it out. Thankfully, he didn't, because he did have this opportunity. He got the call, got the steps into the UFC, and he did get the huge win.
Very emotional after the fact. Cried on Fight Pass. I probably would have cried.
And you know what? It sucks because I caught the first fight on Fight Pass. Then I went up to B-Dub. I missed a couple fights in between that. So I missed Dan Spawn's fight, and I missed Luke Zachar's fight. So I did not have the opportunity to go back and see his post-fight interview, but I do want to kind of see it because, he did cry, and it's just so emotional talking to Joe Rogan. I might have, too. A lot was riding on it.
Absolutely. I think it's worth mentioning, in Zacharich's corner was our good friend, Juan and I's good friend, Jason Butcher, who stuck out like a sore thumb. Everybody else had their sponsor T-shirt on, and Butcher was wearing a American flag tank top. What's up with that?
Hey, he was supporting the red, white, and blue. Red, white, and white. Yeah, it was. I read a post over the weekend that Red, White, and Fight Week was the worst absolute popular name they could have chose for this whole week.
Oh, why the hashtag? Everybody, why?
The one I saw, and the one I thought was probably the most clever pun to kind of play on red, white, and blue was red, fight, blue. Because white, fight, they rhyme at least, whereas red, white, and fight doesn't roll off the tongue as much as red, white, and blue.
I can see it.
That's just my take on it. But nonetheless, I like the idea that they're going with, and I hope to see this every year going forward. This whole week dedicated towards nothing but MMA and UFC specifically. I liked it, and hopefully next year you and I can actually venture out to Las Vegas and attend Red, White, and Fight.
To do that, we're going to need everybody that's listening. Oh, I didn't even open the chat room. Damn it. All of you out there in Radio Land to sign up for Audible, because it helps support us, and we'll start putting back some cash and going out there. I had the media credentials to go, but I'll be honest, man, and we've been around each other enough. I don't like crowds. I don't like a lot of
you don't, and you would have more than likely hated going out too well. I'm thinking.
I'll start winging on folks.
Yes.
We just had the 4th of July, but the fireworks are far from over. As we look to Fight Week this week, our friends at Pinnacle Fighting Championship, they're going to take up our first hour. Juan, our first guest, had a huge amateur career. He's about to make his professional debut in Pittsburgh. It's a pretty stacked card.
It is. Pinnacle Fighting Championship. We've talked about them so much over the years. They continue to put on stacked, talent-rich cards, and this one does not fail in producing those such stars. We have a lineup. We had last week. We had Mark Jericho, Adam Milstead last week, Luis Guerrera. Again, we have some great studs this week, and Brandon Poindexter, our next guest. Like you said, had a spectacular amateur career, and now he's making his professional debut this Saturday night. I'm excited to see what he has to say. This is, I believe, our first time talking to Brandon. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say about this fight and just kind of the whole outlook on fighting in general.
Do you think Dave Click sold his soul to the MMA devil to make all this happen?
I think he did. Him and Matt Layshot, they tag team their souls, giving up their firstborn.
Dana White has
to make
your
this all.
soul.
It is something about that. But I'm going to go ahead and get Brandon on the line here.
Well, I was going to get Brandon on the line. We're going to encourage everybody to head over to onnit.com, ONNIT.com, makers of such fine products as Alpha Brain, Strong Bone, New Mood, Hemp Force Protein, all the good stuff that's good for your body, as well as great fitness products. They've got the steel maces, the kettlebells, the battle ropes, all that. Support Bluegrass MMA by going to Onnit, picking out some supplements, for you, our loyal listener, because we love you, it's 10% off any or all supplements when you enter promo code BluegrassMMA. That's how we do it. It's one love from us. It's a big show tonight. Remember, you can follow along on Twitter at BluegrassMMA, Facebook.com/BluegrassMMA. And with that, we're going to go to our first guest of the evening. He's making his professional debut this Saturday night. Brandon, what's going on, man?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Man, I appreciate you taking the time out. Join us tonight. It is fight week. It's only Tuesday, though. I got to ask, how you feeling going up to this?
I feel great. Weight's good. Conditioning, mentally, physically, best shape of my life, man. Just feeling real good.
Man, you are a beast in the amateur ranks. 18 fights on record. Did you have more than that?
As far as like kickboxing and boxing, yeah, I had about 20-something fights.
That's crazy, man. You know, going back to like what, 2008, you make your amateur debut, and then 6 years later, you're going to make your professional debut. When you were at Barley Brawl back in November of 2008, did you picture the day that you would actually be a professional athlete and start making some money doing this?
Not at all. Didn't think it was going to happen at all. But, you know, trained hard, many blessings, great manager, great gym, great support system. Kept pushing me, man, and then I seen the light and talent came together.
Let's be honest. In your amateur career, you fought a murderer's row of, you know, a lot of guys are successful professionals now, but you, I mean, it's like you never really turned down a fight. You took all the hard fights. Do you feel that that's paid off?
I definitely feel like it's paid off. I mean, all those tough guys I fought in my amateur career, I really didn't take a beating. I really didn't lose. It was all things going on mentally in camps, weight cutting, things like that. I mean, I always felt like I was a superior athlete just as well as they did, but just they came up on the upper end. And I plan to revenge myself on this pro career, man.
You know, for the people that don't know you, you fought a lot in Ohio. You've got a strong resume with the NAAFS, but tell us who you are, man. Where are you training at? You know, who are some of the people who are helping you get ready for this fight?
Brandon Poindexter, originally from Alliance, Ohio, a little small town in Ohio. Just like all of us, you know, Ohioans, Midwest boys from small towns, you know, grew up hard. Then I moved to the big city of Akron, Ohio, or I thought was a big city. Now I'm training out of Evolve Mixed Martial Arts under John Cook, Steve Trazik, Mike Riedel, just coach. Just different guys come in as far as wrestling guys. Harry Lester, Clint Musser. You know, I owe my career to a lot of these guys that are already greats. I'm just trying to make my stable in Akron myself, man.
What's like, you know, I know John Cook, that gym, they're known for putting out top prospects. You know, so when you get to train with the best, you got to feel that pays off in a situation like this where you're going to, you know, actually kind of start from scratch back to 0-0, and there's really a lot more riding on the line now than there was, you know, in January when you last fought amateur.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, the good guys that are around me right now, as far as my teammates, they came because of the establishment that me and John Cook established. I mean, if it wasn't really for my resume, my hard work, my fighting, I mean, Evolve, you know, wouldn't be as humbling and a home to everybody as it is to me. I'm one of the last of the dying breed of the old school generation Evolve, you know what I mean? So it's definitely humbling to have those guys that want to come train there and also, you know, make great things out of the name Evolve, you know?
That's funny you say the last of the dying breed, but you're, what, 26 years old?
Yeah.
Been doing this for a while, man. How have you changed as a person You know, from the time you first stepped on the mats to what you are right now, what's the evolution of Mr. Poindexter been like?
The evolution of Mr. Poindexter went from being 0 to 100, hot-head a little bit. You know, didn't know what direction I wanted to take in life after school. You know, spent my whole life, it felt like, in school, you know, trying to get a degree, this, that, and the third. And then came across mixed martial arts, and it kind of, you know, brought me back down to earth and humbled me, made me grow up as a man, seen the way through, you know, tough times. If everybody, you know, as everybody knows, the amateur career isn't too glorious. I mean, you're not getting paid. You're struggling. You're still working. You're training. So, I mean, it made me grow up and see the light and see the things that I need to do to become a man, you know.
When you think about all those times you had those same day weight cuts, and I always talk about this because it's just intriguing. You don't have to cut weight, or you don't have to weigh in the same day now. Is that how will that affect you? How do you foresee that affecting you come fight day?
Man, it's huge. I feel myself as to be a bigger guy in either the 145 or the 135 weight division. My walk around weight when I'm just casually eating is like 165, 170. So I mean that's pretty big to be cutting a lot of weight. And for the day of weigh-ins is just tough, man. It's mentally hard. It's mentally tough. Physically, it's just a lot on your body, and to prepare for an opponent that's, I mean, doing the same as you, but you know, it's mentally draining on both ends. And now as a pro, I get to really weigh in the day before and then go perform. Man, it's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, man. I mean, I'm the most confident I've ever been going into a fight right now. It's crazy.
Let me ask you this, because I'm not a part of that world. I don't know about weight cutting, but this weekend we saw three of our, I guess, the upper echelon fighters. Saw Melvin Guillard, Cody Bollinger, Alexis Dufresne. They all missed weight, and they all had big fights. You know, one was in the UFC, 2 World Series of Fighting. Melvin Guillard's been cutting weight since, you know, before MMA was even cool. And they still miss weight. But for a guy like you, always on weight, ready to go, what is it that fluctuates from people? What causes them to be off the mark?
I honestly think it starts mentally, man. I mean, you look at our society, you see people walking around fast food joints, quick meal at Subway, things like that. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, the guy's training 8 hours a day, want a quick meal. You lack skills mentally. I think that's what it is. You just gotta be real mentally tough, man. I mean, if you can't do that, then it's gonna be real hard through that weight cut for sure.
You come into this fight, you finished your last 2 opponents impressively in the first round. You know, you're taking on a guy who fought back in December. He came up a little short, but what do you know about Steve Jones, man? Give us a breakdown of what we should expect in this fight.
From what I know about Steve Jones, everyone tells me he's a decent wrestler. Not really a stand-up guy. I follow the same card as Steve Jones, I believe. I mean, I haven't really paid attention to Steve Jones too much. Not saying that he's nobody or anything like that, but he just wasn't in the echelon of fighters that I was in the series and circuits and stuff things. So I didn't pay too much attention to him. But all the, background information I found on him, he's a wrestler, pretty average wrestler, decent stand-up, pretty athletic. And I just feel like I'm going to go out here and keep this fight standing, show my impressive wrestling as well that people think I don't have, and some of my jits, and just try to keep it standing, show that Bad Intentions Bang series out here,
When it's all said and done, you can finish the fight in any way that you have in your toolbox. What's the one way you see yourself finishing this fight to get on the Inside MMA highlight reel, like so many of the fights from Pinnacle have been showing up there lately? How do you do it?
I see myself setting up, either a nasty ass, excuse my language, but a nasty ass DT head kick, or just grueling beatdown. You know what I mean? Just showing him bad intentions, man. Showing him what I'm about, man. Showing him what this 330 lifestyle is about, how we live out here, man. Just a nasty old beatdown.
I love it. I love it. You're down and dirty. So many people just try to win. They just try to go out there, and they're not trying to finish fights. They're not trying to fight. They're just trying to outpoint their opponent and get the win, survive, and advance. I don't think that's your intention, is it?
Not at all, man. I go out there to look and put a show on, man. All these people asking me, hey, you selling T-shirts, you selling this, you selling that. Hell no, man. I'm selling tickets to show this fight. That's what I do. I put on a show. I go out there and bang all 15 minutes.
I love it, man. So, outside of Evolve, your fight career, who's Brandon Poindexter, man? What do you do for fun? What do you do to hang out when you got some downtime?
Right now, just hang out with my beautiful girlfriend, her daughter. Just go out, go to the movies, go to the park. I'm still a really active guy, real active in the community, go to all like the youth games, things like that. Just a real laid back guy, man, just one of those guys like to go to cookouts, real simple. Like I said, I'm starting to grow up, man, so the simple things in life, cookouts, hanging out with friends, sitting around a bonfire, having a beer or two, pitching the jokes, riding four-wheelers, just same old small-town dude, man. Just hang out with my friends.
Well, man, the fight will be here before you know it this Saturday night. Pinnacle FC. Brandon Poindexter makes his professional debut. Before I let you go, man, give you a chance to give some shout-outs and thank yous to the people that helped you get to this point, and anything else you want to throw out there to our listeners.
I just want to send a special shout-out to all my fans, my support, family, friends. It's kind of overwhelming, humbling, all the support I've gotten. I want to send a special thanks to my mother, Amy Poindexter. She's a strong woman in my corner, along with all the other women in my family. Send a special thanks to John Cook, Steve Tracek, Mike Riedel, all my Evolve teammates, my trainer, Sean Henson, Brian Hummer, Matt Miller, just all those guys that keep me in shape, man, keep me pushing and, keep me going. My only real sponsor that I got right now, besides the guys in the gym, the white collar guys, Octagon Fight Gear, he's been, Don Light has been looking out for me for a lot right now. So big thanks to him. And, if you're in Pittsburgh, Cannonsburg Saturday, come out and check me out, man. You won't be disappointed, I promise you that.
This Saturday, professional debut, Brandon Poindexter. Man, thank you so much for joining us. Have a safe trip down there, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, man. Thank you, and I appreciate you guys for having me.
Hey, man, it was our pleasure.
All right.
There you guys go. Huge amateur career, making the jump. Said he had to grow up a little bit. I love it. Looking for that devastating head kick finish to get him on all the highlight reels. We're going to go to our next guest now. He's the point man. He's the guy that's the man behind the scenes. He's going to have to explain to us if it was him or if it was Dave or exactly what happened, who sold their soul to who to keep putting on these great cards in such a short amount of time. It's not like Pinnacle's been around forever. We're talking about just a couple of years here. He's back with us, Matt Layshop. What's up, my man?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you. That was a great introduction.
I got to know, who did you sell your soul to?
Well, I've sold my soul like a bunch of times. So whenever I do die, somebody's going to be fighting over it. There's going to be some litigation, put it that way. And then Dave Click's soul is pure as the driven snow, so he didn't sell that thing yet.
Nice. I love it, man. Listen, I'm excited for this card, and I feel like I'm a broken record because we say it every Pinnacle card that comes up. But legitimately, some of the best fights, on the whole East Coast go down inside the Pinnacle cage. This Saturday's going to be no exception. Man, what are you excited for? We talked to Adam Milstead, we talked to Cherico, we talked to Garrett last week. We just talked to Poindexter. We got Big Nick Smiley, who's, if you've not heard his story, stick around. You're going to hear a great one come out of Nick. But so much to talk about. Ethan Goss on the amateur card. It's going to be crazy.
To be honest with you, the thing that helps us out a lot is, we come from a perspective of fans first on our end, because we're all, Dave Click is a very knowledgeable guy about the regional scene. I'd like to think that I am to a certain extent. So is Joe, Joe DeMore, and the three of us sort of collaborate. We kind of come up with these different cards. We have a lot of people that want to fight for us because we, I like to think we take care of them pretty good. So honestly, I don't want to undersell it and say that it's really easy, but, it's getting easier putting these together. And, honestly, I think there's a couple of fights that I'm really excited for. I'm excited for the whole card, to be honest with you, but the couple of fights that really stick out to me is I'm interested to see what Adam Milstead does coming back. He, in my opinion, has one of the best skill sets for a heavyweight I've seen in a long time. I watched him fight at 205 as an amateur, and I followed his career for a long time, and I'm interested to see how he deals with a giant man in Nick Smiley, who's obviously, put together some really nice wins, and he's doing his thing. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'm also interested in Schilling Goss. I like both those guys a lot. Jake Schilling is like the epitome of a Spartan. He didn't care who he's fighting, doesn't ask anybody's name, nothing. The kid just shows up, point him in that direction, and he goes after him. And, there are not many guys like that left, So I'm interested to see what he does. Of course, obviously, the main event, Mark Cherico, everybody's always, that he's obviously one of the bigger draws that we have around here. And, is he gonna keep looking as more or less as flawless as he has in his last, 12 or 14 outings, however many it's been now. So, and then, I could keep going on and on about this, but I'll let you save me.
I like it. I like getting that insider information. I like the passion that you guys have.
Yeah, well, you know what? Okay, well then I'll tell you the other one too. Honestly, I'm really excited to see what Poindexter does because I've always been a big fan of his. I like guys that have that little bit of an edge to them. Makes it interesting, keeps things interesting. This sport has really, I've been a fan of it since I was a kid. I'm 30 years old now. It's really, really watered down from when it initially started. Long gone are the days of Tank Abbott putting his knee in the back of somebody's head and pushing their face through a fence, okay? Not saying that we should bring that type of stuff back, but that, mean streak, that kind of shit that makes you go, wow, what the fuck did I just watch, right? Like, Brandon Poindexter has that type of attitude where he's not afraid to go out there and just let stuff fly. And as a fan, I like that mean streak. You might not realize it at the time. It's like the old Vanderlei Silva stuff. I don't think he's as wild as Vanderlei was, but it's, anyway, you get my point.
There's something to be said about a guy, whether it's out of necessity or just pure patience, that actually hangs around and sharpens his skill in the amateur ranks these days. I see a lot of guys that get to where they think they're good after 4 wins, 5 wins, and go pro, and then it's like reality smacks them in the face when they're a 2-13 pro, wondering what the hell happened. He's a guy that really put in the work as an amateur to hopefully have a great run as a pro.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on exactly why that happens, but it's sort of, mixed martial arts is sort of an impatient sport from the fans to the fighters themselves. Not saying that they're impatient, like, oh, hey, I need all my stuff now, but they sort of like learn in an impatient manner. So like, okay, I'll give you a classic example. I came up in a boxing gym where you'd spend 6 months throwing a jab at a mirror before you even hit a pad or touch the bag, or even a coach would talk to you, right? But in 6 months, we got guys that are fighting in mixed martial arts, right? They've learned everything. They've learned jiu-jitsu and wrestling and kickboxing. They put it all together. But like other traditional martial arts, if you want to call boxing a traditional martial arts, the growth time is exponentially longer. They expect it to take longer. So with that being said, I think that affects them also when it comes to fighting. They go out, they fight a couple times, they get the hang of it, you know. Especially like in Ohio, for instance, you know, Ohio rules are very similar to pro rules. I mean, there's not really a huge difference. I mean, there's a couple, but not a huge difference. So I think that once they get some experience in, they kind of feel like, hey, what's the difference? There's a little bit longer round. There's a couple different weapons that I haven't used before I can use now. So why not go for it? And I think it's a little more of a rude awakening at that point. But, you know.
People don't understand once you make that leap, you can't go back to being an amateur. You can't be like 0-3 and be like, fuck this, I'm going back. I'm going back to where I was good.
I'm going to start doing it for free again. Yeah.
That's what happens. I know guys that have completely demolished their record that fight purely based on ticket sales, and they sell 7 tickets, you know? I mean, or they will just fight for free just to get a fight, but just be so awful nobody wants to watch them anyway.
It's true. One of my best, if I could ever give a kid that's starting out in today's mixed martial arts, you know, landscape, I would tell him, you know, take as many fights as you can as an amateur. Make sure you're in the best gym that's available to you within reason. And then, you know, the biggest thing is experience. You have to have the experience. You gotta know what it's like to get hurt. You gotta know what it's like to be tired. You have to know what it's like to fight a guy who's better than you. Or supposed to be better than you, because once you get to the pros, all of this stuff is a reality. You're going to be tired because it's a 5-minute round. It's almost 2 full rounds as an amateur, right? And you know, starting off, it doesn't seem like a long time. 5 minutes is a long time. If you're out there fighting and throwing punches and wrestling, 5 minutes is forever. You know, you're getting cut with different stuff. You're getting, you know, you're playing for keeps now. Paintball with real guns. It's not, you know, you can't go out there and just sort of half-ass it and say, hey, listen, I had shin pads on 6 months ago, and now I'm out here fighting the next Jose Aldo, you know. So,
looking at Pinnacle, and we're right at the, you know, or I guess we're over the halfway mark of 2014, but you guys have had, you know, from what we can tell, massive success. How do you follow that up? You know, you got Jericho headlining this card, but how do you get past Saturday and you know, keep the franchise as strong as it is?
Well, one of my like fundamental cornerstones of managing this whole thing is consistency. And we try really hard to keep everything consistent. We try to get our videos out. We try to get our promotional stuff out. We try to make sure our cards are set up in a way that, you know, we're not going to say, hey, we blow our wad in one show, and then 3 months from now we're dead in the water because we don't have anybody on it because they all fought last time. You know, so we sort of space everything out. And, you know, so that's really it. I mean, I don't think, like, from an outside perspective, I could see people saying, hey, you're using a lot of really great talent on this card. How are you going to do it again? But we don't really look at it that way. We sort of say, we have a huge pool of people that want to fight for us. And we try to take, you know, who's ready, who wants to fight, who do we have a good fight for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We take all these factors in, and we can make really great cards day in and day out with them, really.
How hard is it not to fall in the trap? You know, you see promotions that start off really well, and then they want to go to, like, a fight a month. And, you know, they try to – it's so overwhelming to be able to go – put 6 shows on in 6 months, and for each one to be a hit. Like, how tempting has that been for you guys to kind of push balls to the wall a little bit just to see where it would go?
Well, it's not really tempting at all because I would assume I'll say it like this. Okay, it's just I don't believe in that strategy, and you know, if you look at it from the long play. The only group that has been able to run one show a month and have any type of success in this sport is the UFC, and they're getting crushed by it. frequency is a killer here. You got to make people want to watch these things. You can't, if you come out of, in my opinion anyway, if you start watering down your content, you make less. It's a supply and demand type of thing. A couple years ago, mixed martial arts in Pennsylvania was like unheard of. You'd have a fight, you promote things the right way, you might have some people turn out to them. Now that there's not that many, there's us. We have obviously other competition here, but we both have done a pretty good job of, creating an interest enough that people keep showing up for them. And I think if we would double down on our efforts here, we're just going to take the same crowd and split it up. I mean, I could be wrong, I guess, but it hasn't worked. Any company that's gone, in my opinion, that I've noticed, and tried to do these like high-frequency volume of shows haven't really been that successful.
Not at all. That brings me to my next point, and this is something where we talk a lot about the MMA scene in Indiana. We see it some in Ohio, a little bit like off the record in Kentucky, but in our head, the two biggest promotions in Pennsylvania, and I'll just be honest, I only know two, so that makes them the two biggest, right?
Yeah.
Gladiators of the Cage and Pinnacle. You guys seem to work actually well together. What the hell's going on there? You're supposed to hate each other. I saw them promoting your show today. What's going on?
Well, we don't. I wouldn't say that we definitely don't hate each other. They're a good group of guys. We've had our moments, I think. I'm outspoken, always been outspoken, not afraid to say things, and they got some guys in their camp that are along the same lines, might not have the same channel to put it out there like I do, but whatever. And to be honest with you, their success and our success doesn't affect each other. So, in other words, our biggest show that we've ever had was right on the heels of the biggest show they've ever had. So it's not like, the people that our market is going to one or the other. They're either going to both or they're staying on their side or however it is, but it's not affecting us. I mean, I guess we could take a poll and find out how many people are going to both. I would doubt that there's a huge percentage of crossover just because it's expensive. I mean, let's face it, people don't really spending. I think their average ticket cost is like $80-$90. Our highest ticket cost is like $85. So I mean, even if you look at it that way, I mean, you're talking. If we're fighting around each other within a month, you're investing $170 to $200 a month in entertainment. Not a bad entertainment. I don't blame you for doing it, but does the average consumer into this sport, 18 to 30, have that type of money? Probably not.
I just feel like, even if it's not super kosher, you guys aren't going out of your way to hurt each other. And that there are so many people that do that. I'm like, why the fuck are you doing that?
Well, yeah, you're right. And you know what? Here's the thing. Take it here. I look at everything like this. Okay, you got to look at the big picture on things. All the other promotions, we'll just leave them. We'll group them up in those guys that do that sort of stuff. They don't have any more success because they've screwed somebody else over. You can play this game two ways, right? You can play the straight up way, be transparent like we are, right? I'm honest with guys. We talk to them, whatever. Or you can take shortcuts. You can do selfish things, or you can put yourself in a position to screw somebody out of something, not pay them enough, or whatever it is, right? To benefit yourself. The people that go that direction, their lifespan is short. Word travels. This is a small community, and when it comes to guys like Gladiators, from what I can tell, they're treating everybody right. They're not taking any shots at us. We don't really take any shots at them, and we've lived as harmoniously as two rival promotions can be in the same small town.
I love it. And now they're going to be in Ohio next weekend, so it's not like you guys are competing locally.
Yeah, well, not for that one, no. I mean, we compete with a lot of stuff. It's not just them. I mean, it is. Obviously, that would be, I'm not naive. I know who my competition is out there, but we have other people like, for Saturday, Paul Spadafora is fighting Friday night. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he's a fairly famous Pittsburgh boxer who at one point held a title for a while, and he's a good draw. He's fighting Friday at the casino, so we compete with him a little bit. Well, we compete with that show, in other words. We have baseball games here and all types of other shit that people can do besides coming to us. And we've found our niche and have been able to grind it out so far.
Fucking boxing. Jesus. That's still around?
Hey,
you like
know
boxing,
what? I love boxing, man. I love it. Yeah, I go.
You're a boxing guy.
If I wasn't setting up Friday night, I'd be there, to be honest with you. I usually go ringside. I sit there.
I'm learning.
But
I'm gonna watch the Ginger fight Saturday night. I'm gonna watch Canelo Alvarez. See what this is about.
Yeah. Well, you have to. I mean, you have to appreciate the finer art. It's sort of like, the thing about boxing is, if you don't pay attention to boxing before, right now is like one of the best times in boxing, maybe in the last, well, definitely in the last 10, 15 years. There's just a lot of great talent out there, and there's a lot of really tough guys and, skilled guys. So it's a good time to be a boxing fan.
I'm trying to host a show on Sundays where it's like half MMA and half boxing. And I've gotten by so far by just kind of dissing boxing so far. But I'm going to have to learn. I mean, I'm going to have to be able to speak intelligently at some point. So I'm trying.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's that effort. E for effort.
Well, man, we've got Nick Smiley coming up here in just a minute. If before I let you go, here's your one sales pitch to the listeners out here. All 16 million that are listening to Bluegrass MMA Live right now, why should they be in Canonsburg Saturday night?
Well, 16 million, I just got really nervous because we can only hold like maybe 2,000. So first off, we're going to need a very small percentage of your listener base to actually show up. Okay. So half of you guys can just turn your radio down. This doesn't apply. Way more than half. Like,
are you doing the internet pay-per-view?
Yeah, oh yeah. You know what? You're right. Thank you.
Because
Save me on that.
We sold some. We sold some here at Bluegrass. It'll be available again. It's on the front page of our website. Click it, buy it. So
we've done
500
hundreds
of
of
the
thousands
listeners go to the show, and the other million order it from Go Fight Live.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, if you're a fan of mixed martial arts and you want to, see tomorrow's stars, Mark Cherico is one phone call away from being in the UFC. You're not going to get a chance to see him fight on a local stage. You might, that might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but think about if you go back to, like, I don't watch basketball at all, so this is a horrible analogy, fuck it, because I don't care. But if you go back to, like, the days when LeBron James was playing high school basketball, right, and you could catch his last game and now he's this giant star, you have your chance, right? Plus, not to mention, we got a whole bunch of violence packed into, like, 3 hours. I mean, this is going to be, these kids, every one of these guys on this card, bring it. Every one of them. There's not going to be, from the debut amateurs, like even like guys like Greg Rudolph, this kid is tough. It's his first fight. He is probably one of the highest touted prospects. He's only been training 8 months, so even our debut guys right now are coming out of the gate hot. So it's a good card. If you're going to catch any of them, this is the one to catch.
Matt, love you, brother. Appreciate you taking the time out to join us. We will be catching it on Go Fight Live. I can't drive to Pittsburgh. It's too far.
Oh, yeah. I know. You're all the way out there. And where you guys out of, Kentucky or something?
I was in Cincinnati, and I'm in eastern Kentucky.
There you go. Eastern. Bluegrass, right? Yeah. I figured it out. I put it together. Give me some time. I know you're in I could be a detective with you.
We've only known each other or known of each other for like 3 years now. I'm glad you finally made the connection.
I have. I finally figured it out. I'm like, Bluegrass. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's right. It's in Kentucky probably.
Well, man, take care.
Well, hey, listen.
Have fun. Kick ass. And we can't wait to see what goes down Saturday night.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks again. Thanks for having me on as always.
There you guys go. Matt Lashock, the point man for Pinnacle FC. It goes down Saturday night. If you can't be there, like us, Go Fight Live, baby. GFL.TV. But don't go there. Go BluegrassMMA.com. Click on the poster that has Mark Cherico's beautiful face. Buy it. Love it. Once you buy it once from Go Fight Live, you own it forever. So if you can't make it there, make sure you get the internet pay-per-view and buy it from us. You know, every little bit of help counts. It matters. I'm excited to talk to our next guest. He's taking on Adam Milstead this Saturday night in what I think will probably be fight of the night. No offense to Cherico and Guerra. But who does not love the heavyweights? And when you've got two really good heavyweights, I'm not talking about really good. Nick Smiley, coming from fought a lot down like in the Georgia area, down that way, and I think Alabama. Just a good Southern badass. He's going to join us right now. Nick Smiley, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, Gary? How you doing, buddy?
Man, I appreciate you coming back on the show. Big fight. You get to travel a little bit, man. Coming up, going to Pittsburgh. It's got to be exciting, right?
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. It's been a long time since I got to fight outside of the South. Since my first pro fight, man, I fought up in Atlantic City, my third pro fight back in 2010. But since then, man, I haven't fought out of the South, so it's exciting to take a plane ride, go visit somebody else's town.
I know this fight's been on the table for a while. How's the training been for this? I know you've been out for a while before you took your last fight. Now you've kind of got back into action, kind of regroup, get ready for this. How's things been?
Oh man, it's been good. I had a really good camp for my last fight. Really didn't have a very good fight, but the good side of it is I didn't take any no damage done. My pride was hurt a little bit. That's about it. But we rolled right back into camp. And within 2 or 3 weeks, my manager Charles McCarthy called me and offered this fight to me, man. And it's a good opportunity to get back. Like I said, get out of the South, man. I've had fighting at home put a bad taste in my mouth, man. Just not being able to focus mentally. But I'm ready to go up there, man, and enjoy that up there and have a good fight with Adam.
I want to pause for a second to do a little ass-kissing here. Charles McCarthy and Ed Cap, your managers, they do such a wonderful job for you, for Cherico, for really everybody they represent. What's that mean for you to have such good people behind you? McCarthy, hell, he knows what it's about. He's been in the game. I think that's like a perfect fit for him to have yours and everybody else on the roster the best interest at hand.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I've been really blessed with, throughout my career to have a good upbringing, I guess, a good raising in the sport. My first manager was Rory Singer, and Rory's one of my good friends and mentors now. And when I needed, when I got my old manager, man, when we, me and him had to split ways. Not Rory, the one I had afterwards, Shark Sports Management. But when I got Rory on the phone, I was like, hey, who do you suggest? Who would you trust? And he gave me one name, man. It was Charles McCarthy. And so me and Charles, I reached out and contacted Charles, and it took a couple of weeks for him to get back to me. And at first I thought he didn't want to sign me. For whatever reason, maybe I wasn't good enough, whatever. But I come to find out it was because me and Walt Harris were supposed to fight at one time, and Walt was getting ready for his first UFC fight, and Charles wanted to make sure, it was okay with Walt that he signed me. And to me, that right there meant that he has the fighter's best interest at heart, not his own. Any guy could have gone out and just signed as many guys as he wants to, but to check with one of his guys and say, hey, do you mind me signing this other heavyweight? That showed me a lot there, man. I'm gonna tell you. And Charles has been, he's been a blessing, dude, the whole way. Somebody I could talk to, kind of bring me up through it. Ed Cap, dude, I can't say enough about Ed. He's done great things as far as publicity-wise for me, man. Hooking me up with y'all guys, and just countless interviews to get my name out there. And I cannot thank them any more than what I already do, man. So it's just been amazing to have those guys as part of my team.
Speaking of the team, did you go back down to Florida to train with Scott and the crew down there before this fight?
No, unfortunately, I didn't get to go back down. the downside to losing, and we spoke about this a little bit, in our last interview, was the sponsorship atmosphere, man, and it was good there for a while, and then I drop a fight, and all my sponsors, jump ship, and and so I'm kind of feeling that, financially, so I didn't get to go down, but hopefully pick up a win up here in Pittsburgh, and pick some guys up, and maybe get back on track this time with one of these bigger promotions, maybe like Titan or something like that.
Man, that sucks. People. There's so much MMA out there these days, and there's only so many sponsor dollars. But the harsh reality is the money, chasing that dollar, other than stepping in the cage and fighting through sponsors, it's hard to come by. And it's a sad thing because like 5 years ago, people were shitting money to fighters, just like, hey, here's $5,000, have fun, but so much has changed in that landscape. It's a hard business to be in.
Well, and you're right, man. It's especially on these smaller shows, unless it's just local people, people that have a vested interest in you, you're not going to pick up any of the big companies, and then even the big companies aren't going to want to sign, pick you up if you're going to the UFC nowadays because they don't want to have to pay the tax. And so it almost seems, smarter to go with somebody like World Series or, Titan or something like that, something that's going to get you television coverage so that you can pick up some sponsorship money, but then you're missing out on the UFC-type paydays. So, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, man. I guess, when you get up there, guys like Chris Weidman and all them, man, making $500,000 a fight, you don't necessarily need sponsorship money anymore.
But it seems like those are the guys that they want to throw their money at. Like, can you name me 3 people that were on Chris Weidman's banner besides Bad Boy?
I tell you the truth, man, I honestly did not even watch this card.
Yeah,
it's one of those things, man. I mean, I guess I've gotten to the point now. I see a lot of my, when my friends are going, people that I know are going to the big shows, I'll watch their fights. But I'm not interested in watching the other guys fight, man. It almost makes me, it hurts me a little bit, that I'm not there yet, So it's one of those things. It's just a mental thing.
But you've been a guy who's been plugging at it for a while now. You're doing it honestly. You're not padding your record. We saw a guy just a couple weeks ago that got his UFC debut and had never beat a guy with a winning record. Now he got into
the
UFC,
guy that was 9-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that was 9-0 that had, I think his combined opponent's record was like 3-30 something.
Yeah.
I mean it's ridiculous, man. I mean, and that's the thing is like, which I guess it's just a pride thing. I'm not one of those guys that wants to take an easy fight. I know some guys. After I dropped this fight to Adrian, I had some people's like, oh man, get you a couple wins and fight this guy, fight that guy. I'm like, no, man. I'm like, what good is it going to do to drop a fight to a guy that's 5-0 and then go pick up a couple of wins against guys that are like 1-5? I mean, what does that say for me as a fighter? I mean, I'm not that kind of guy. We had a couple of offers. Charles will tell you, man. Ed will tell you. I mean, I was offered Christian Moorcraft at CES, and I took him about 2 days, and me and Charles talked about it, and I mean, I was ready to take that fight. It's I want a fight that's going to build my name, not something that's going to look good on paper, And if that's what they're looking for is a guy that's got a bunch of wins against nobody, then I guess I'll never be that guy. I mean, I hope, to have good quality wins against people that, that matter along the way. I look to build my name off of somebody that's been in the UFC or, something like that. Not off a guy, that's 9 fighters that maybe have 2 wins between them, amongst them. So.
Absolutely. You've got no slouch come Saturday night, and you've got a hometown favorite in Adam Milstead, a guy who he's had a little bit of a break, but before that was on a tear. 4 fights, 4 finishes. A young guy, very athletic. He's going to be quite a bit smaller than you. What's your take on this fight, and like what's your expectations of Adam Milstead?
Oh man, from watching video and stuff on Adam, he looks to be game. he's a little bit smaller. I figure 6'2", 6'3", 225, 230. But athletic, man. He's probably going to be fast. He's going to be strong. And that's and from what I've seen in videos, man, he looks to be a striker. He looks like he wants to stand up and throw some shots. And I'd like to get in there, get opportunity, mix it up, exchange a little bit, see where the fight goes. I don't underestimate anybody, man. Like I said, in the past, we're all heavyweights. All it takes is getting clipped one time. And, my last fight proved that. I caught an elbow, and for the first time in my life, I got knocked out. So I know it can happen to anybody. Just as fast as it can happen to me, it can happen to him. I'm going to go in there, man, clear head. I've had a great camp. I'm physically ready. I'm mentally ready, and I'm going to go up there. And I'm used to being the heel, man. I fought, away from my hometown a lot. And so him being the hometown favorite, I know I'm going to be the heel, and I'm fine with that, man. I plan to go up there and get back on the winning track.
Let me ask you this. You have, in your professional career, you win or lose, you've never exited the first round. Do you see this fight going past the first round?
It just depends on how he reacts. When we first come out. I've always had this thing. The first punch of the fight kind of tells the tale. If I hit him and he moves back, then in my mind I've got him. If I hit him and he keeps going forward, then it might very well be a war. But it doesn't matter if it goes first round, second round, third round. I've got the gas. Nobody's ever tested it, but I've got the gas to go that long. And I'm prepared to go wherever it goes. I wouldn't mind standing and trading for 3 rounds, putting on a good show for folks, man. And ideally, I'd like to get out there in the first round and move on to the next one. So it's wherever it goes. I'm prepared. If he's, I have full faith that he's coming to fight, man. And so, he's bringing his, I'm gonna bring mine.
Is there any pressure? Because when this fight was announced, I gotta admit, man, I was excited because who doesn't love 2 hard-hitting, badass heavyweights? I mean, of course, you got Mark Cherico in the main event, but, this is the fight that I think so many people, whether it be the local fans or just people that know the dynamics of the heavyweight division, in the Southeast, this is the fight that people will really have some attention on. I called it fight of the night. I expect it to live up to that. But do you feel like you have to bring it that way? Because I know you're probably going out there for a fight of the night every time you step in the cage.
Yeah, I'm going out there prepared to to have a war every time. The pressure is not so much on I guess the how the fight goes. It's more the outcome. In my mind, it's a must win for me, man. I got to get back. I got to get the monkey off my back from this loss in April, and go out there and just fight my fight. And I have all intentions of going out there and like I said, man, whether it ends in the first 10 seconds or it lasts 15 minutes, I'm ready to go wherever it goes. I know I can take a couple shots. We'll see if he can.
I love it, man. I got to tell you, we got to bring that Nick Smiley blog back. I loved it.
Yeah, man, I tell you, I've been slammed. I just me and my fiance just bought a house out in Effingham County, Georgia, in South Georgia, where I live at. Man, we just got a new house. Been remodeling and training. Oh yeah, man. They said I had to get older. I don't know about growing up though, man. So it's hard to get used to. But it's awesome, man. You got our own place and trying to just get everything situated. And I tell you, man, I promise you, after this fight's over with, I'll start back the week after. And we'll keep it going, man. We'll grind it out.
Love it, brother. I love it, man. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate the time. You've got our respect. We think the world of you, Nick. Before we let you go, here's your chance for any shout-outs, any thank yous, whatever you want to do, man. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, man. I want to thank my fiance, man, for being supportive. Over the last months, but especially over the last couple of weeks. It's been stressful coming off of a loss. My church family's been very supportive. My family in general. I want to thank Down to Earth Landscaping, VD Landscaping, Woody Shirts and Scrubs, BRL Sports, man, Bob Gentile and those guys over there have been with me through thick and thin. I want to thank Guardian Sports, Charles and Ed, all those guys for really taking care of me. And all my guys at Champions Training Center, my coach, Sam Corbury, all the guys that helped me train for this fight, man. Looking forward to bringing home a W.
There you guys go. Nick Smiley. Nick, be careful going to Cannonsburg. We'll be watching you Saturday night.
All right, appreciate it, brother.
Heavyweights do battle. It's going to be off the chain, so don't miss it this Saturday night. Remember, you can if you can't be there, you can watch it live on Internet Pay-Per-View. Go Fight Live. Go to BluegrassMMA.com. Click the link, just the poster. Take you there. Sign up. Order it. Watch it. We will. You should, too. That concludes our first hour. We got to thank our guests, Brandon Poindexter, Matt Lashock, and, of course, Nick Smiley. If you not go to our Twitter account at BluegrassMMA, you can get their info, follow them, like them, do what you got to do. We're going to be back here in just a second as we move a little south to Virginia to talk about the Victorium.
Intimidation Clothing has proven to be the biggest supporter of local MMA in the industry, sponsoring the top regional events across the globe. While other brands come and go, Intimidation is a brand that represents stability, with over 110 different styles of high-quality t-shirts, hats, hoodies, training gear, and more. Browse our premium quality merchandise at IntimidationClothing.com and use Radio 10 to save 10% off your order. When you think local MMA, think Intimidation Clothing. Nobody supports local MMA like Intimidation. Nobody.
Tune in to Louisville's #1 combat sports show, The Knockout Hour, every Sunday morning from 9 a.m. until 10, right here on 1450 WXVW. Hosts Kelly Patrick and Gary Thomas bring you the top stories from the world of boxing and mixed martial arts. The Knockout Hour is brought to you by BluegrassMMA.com and the Kentuckiana Agency of Transamerica, the home of tax-free retirement.
You are listening to the ProMMANow.com radio network.
You're listening to the Ohio Valley's #1 source for MMA. This is Bluegrass MMA Live. Now, once again, your hosts, Juan Valley and Gary Thomas.
Bluegrass MMA Live. We are happy to be sponsored by Audible.com, the world's leading provider of spoken digital audio entertainment and information. Check this. They've got over 150,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen to them on any device, including whatever the hell you're listening to us on right now. And if you sign up at this website, write it down, audibletrial.com/pro-MMA now. You get your 1 free audiobook and 30 free days of the service. You know, if you like podcasts like this, you know, they've got stand-up comedy, you know, all kinds of books. I recommend The War of Art. If you're looking for that motivation, looking for something that's going to do something for you, that's a good book. But audibletrial.com/pro-MMA now. They support us. You should support them. Get your free audiobook and 30 free days. Tell them we sent you. Now, it's been a minute since we've got to talk about the Victorium. They the first 2 shows off the chain down there in Virginia. It's such a tough place to promote professional mixed martial arts. But tonight, this next hour is going to be dedicated to them. First up, I want to talk to the man that powers this. He keeps going. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He keeps going. He would not let it die. The Victorium 3 this Saturday night. He's back with us. Giovanni, what's going on, my man?
I am listening to you talk wonderful things about me.
Hey, I can remember after the second show, which was a hit. You had some hiccups there. Had to go from outside to inside, which made it look like there was 50,000 people in attendance. Had a great show there. Plans for another show were coming. The venue dropped out, and then I thought for a minute maybe the Victorium was gone. Walk me through what happened after the second show, that all that adversity that you've had to overcome.
Well, we were in Fredericksburg up in Virginia, where I live currently, and we had rented a gigantic 160-foot by 40-foot tent. And part of the things here in the Old Dominion, as they say, being a commonwealth, you are regulated, over-regulated, and then regulated again by the state. You got to abide by all kinds of rules and regulations. Anyway, make a long story short, we had a tent that had to be approved by both the fire marshal as well as the city building inspector. Well, the tent did not get approved. The company the tent failed, which of course meant the show could not go on. Well, I refused to let the show cancel that day, so the person that I was dealing with at the fairgrounds, fortunately they had a second building on property which only held, 500-600 people, but we had the choice of either canceling the show or moving it, and of course, all the fighters were there, the fans were there, everything was there. So within 4 hours, we had completely moved everything. We had to tear down the cage twice, the audio, lighting, seating, tables, everything, and move it into this building. And fortunately for the fighters, it was still a phenomenal show. It was one of the best shows I'd ever been part of. It was just, behind the scenes was just a total freaking fiasco. And then I ended up suing the company, spent about 6 months back and forth in litigation, just to go to an old boys, good old boys network in court that day. The judge literally looked at me and said, "Good luck winning today." And then I lost. And, it was a very disheartening situation, but it kept me going, to be honest with you. I was ready to quit the whole thing, but, with the support of a lot of people behind me, everybody said, "No, man, you've gone too far. Continue to do it." And then, people like David Arvelo, who's my matchmaker, Dusty Shaw, who's on the card, my girlfriend, Nicole Mitchell, my mom, Marisa Lemm, my kids, etc. They said, "Nope, you got to keep doing it," and I did, and here we are at Victorium 3.
It's amazing because so many people would have said, "Screw it." Too much to overcome, too many trials, tribulations to keep this thing going. And let's face it, mixed martial arts, you're not going to be a millionaire, overnight. The gate at the Victorium 3 is not going to be able to buy you a new house. But you have invested, because you come from that fighting background. You've invested so much in these fighters. We see the guys that keep coming back to the show, Brett Glass, Dusty Shaw, these guys that are coming back, fighting for you again. And that doesn't go unrecognized, man. We see that you through it all, walking through hell and back, this thing's still going to happen, and not only going to be good for the fighters, but there's a community in Virginia. I feel like Virginia is like the Wild West of MMA, because we could put up an amateur show in the next 15 minutes and nobody's going to say a word. But if you want to support your professional fighters, man, you got to jump through more hoops than a Ringling Brothers circus.
It's true. They talk about, I'm from Los Angeles originally. I spent most of my life there, and then I moved to Virginia. And I've never seen more obstacles for anything, business, licensing, sports. People wonder why there's no professional football, baseball, basketball here. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because it is truly an over-regulated scenario, plus the fact, being a huge military state, it's so transient. People are in and out all the time, and the loyalty base that is needed for something of this, stature is truly not there. I am pretty surprised. The show that we're doing right now, we had to move from venue to venue to venue, and even contracts broken, again, potential lawsuits. Well, Dusty, fortunately, had a friend of his named Bradley Perkins, who owns a company called Elite Construction. He's like, "Hey, man, I want to sponsor the event." And when I told him what was going on, he made call after call, and he, honestly, I think Bradley salvaged the show. David, of course, being the matchmaker, we went all over the state looking for places to accommodate the show, and we were just had the door closed on us time and time again. People wouldn't return our calls, or the pricing of the venues were so absurd that it was not only going to not make any money, we would have lost ridiculous thousands. But, with the work of Bradley Perkins, Dusty Shaw, a guy named Harley Barker, and some other people up in the Gloucester, Hayes area, they have really shown me that I had a lot of people to depend on. Even today at a big meeting at a local bar called Yorktown Pub, I was sitting there just kind of going, wow, I can't believe all these people who I don't even know, a lot of them were so willing to help. And part of it was like, hey, man, we've known you for years, not personally, but have seen you, and you've done so much for the sport, at least on the, East Coast, Mid-Atlantic level, that we did not want you to fail. And so it was eye-opening, and, I really, really genuinely appreciate all the work that all the people behind the scenes have been putting through, aside from most of the fighters, of course,
All this, and you've still got a huge fight card headlined by UFC veteran, Dustin Pague. You've got, so many guys that are coming back. Your matchmaker has been able to fill slots in the last minute. It seems like everything's coming together kind of like the first two, man. It seems like it's chaos at times, but it all seems to work out in your favor.
Yeah, it does. It's so funny. David Arvelo of the Doombeard Report, he's another aficionado of MMA. He had called me out of the blue last year to come to the show, and, because of his big, gigantic beard, I didn't even realize he was from the Richmond area. I thought he was more south. And he's like, he came to the show, did a play-by-play, was super great, ended up taking classes with one of our sponsors who was doing the show, and then he calls me and says, hey, man, I'd love to help you out. I heard you were having some problems. And it's funny because I told him, look, man, I'm letting you know right now, once you get involved, you are going to be blown away at the amount of work that's necessary. He goes, no, I can deal with it. Well, within weeks, he called me and he said, I have so much more respect for you now. I cannot believe what you put up with. And then since then, just a roller coaster ride. And, he keeps me pretty calm, honestly. There are times I am calling him 10 times a day and just going, I can't do this anymore. He's like, no, man, it's going to be great. It's going to be worth it. You've put in far too much time, far too much effort, and he's put in far too much time and too much effort to not let it, to let it go by the wayside. And then, putting together such a great card. I mean, honestly, short of the two UFCs that have been through Virginia, I genuinely believe it's the best card that's ever come through Virginia. Dustin, great guy. I've known him since his very first fight when he was an amateur. My former student, they fought each other at a show, another local Richmond amateur show, and Dustin came away with the win, and I've seen him fight numerous times over the years, and he's with a great school called Disciple MMA with head coach Scott Howard, and I used to be Scott Howard's MC, and it also fought for some titles for his event. So it all, it's funny, the MMA world quite often comes full circle, and here we are. He's fighting DeJuan Owens, who's another great fighter. He's had a lot of experience behind him. He comes from another great school in the MMA Institute out of Richmond under the tutelage of Rick McCoy. And, we couldn't be happier. These guys have been really promoting the show. And then, of course, our undercard with Dusty Shaw versus Kyle Newson, and then Brett Glass, Bellator vet, who was also the main event of my last show, fighting Jonathan Hughes, who is also out of Disciple MMA, and then the list goes on. John Calloway, Joshua Brown, Alan Stevenson, Kenny Goudreau, JoJo Stringfield coming through with his, third matchup against Roy Smith, and then, the list of others. It's just, we're extremely, extremely happy with the press we've been getting and just the amount of work that these guys have been doing to sell their tickets and really make this show a sold-out show.
Let's bring on one of the fighters who, according to Giovanni, helped save the show. Dusty Shaw, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just standing by listening to y'all guys talk.
So, how do you feel? Giovanni talks about this. You are one of the big proponents of keeping the Victorium 3 together.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Gio was my first striking instructor when I got into the sport about 8 years ago or so, and so we've kept a relationship since then. I was able to fight on a few of his amateur shows, and I made my pro debut with the Victorium, and so I was excited to jump on this event. It was going to be in Richmond, and when I found out the venue screwed him over, I put him in touch with one of my main sponsors, Brad Perkins with Elite Construction, and we lucked out and we were able to find a good event, and what is originally my hometown, Gloucester. So it helped save the show, and even better, got me in my hometown, which, was nice.
Now, as an amateur, you fought all over the place. You fought for Giovanni, and now as a pro, you made your professional debut there. You're coming back. What is it about the Victorium that, from a fighter's perspective, because I feel like there's so many people want on this card, when it's time, when a fight falls off, one automatically pops up. So there's got to be something from the fighter's aspect of things that makes it worthwhile to jump on board and support this project.
Well, there's several things. There's not a lot of professional opportunity in Virginia, and with the few opportunities there are, you can run into promoters that are just out for themselves and they're not going to look out for the fighter. So, just the pro opportunity in itself is good, but what stands out with Victorium is, like I said, I've known Gio so long, and he's a good guy, but I can honestly say, out of almost 20 fights I've had altogether, most of them being amateur, I've never seen a promoter treat his fighters better than Gio. He's a really honest guy, and I can personally attest he's not a promoter that's going to screw somebody over on money, or he's not unfair. Matchups are fair, which is another thing you got to worry about with matchups. Promoters mix-matching people. So some of the typical problems you'll find with promotions, I haven't seen any of it with the Victorium, which is rare.
You're coming off a fight at the end of May. How quick did you get back into to fight camp for Kyle Newsom?
Jump right back into it. I'd say, I think training specifically for him, I guess it's been about 3 or 4 weeks. We just fought recently, but I know about this fight for a while. So whenever Gio's going to have a show, I'm going to fight for him. So I've been knowing I was going to fight.
What, Giovanni, when you hear guys talk like that, that's a huge thing. Granted, there may not be a whole lot of opportunity for professionals, but there's a lot of opportunities for fights out there for guys to want to come back, to want to be a part of your show and support that. What's that mean for you? Because I know when you were a fighter, you had to find those people that were loyal and that didn't try to screw you over. Now you get to kind of be that guy that does it the right way, and to have that support from the fighters. That's what really makes a promotion, especially on a regional level.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so tough sometimes because, when I was a fighter, it was easy. You go train, you go fight, you sell your tickets, you do your thing, and you leave. And being the promoter, man, there is so much that is involved. And, the promoter gets pigeonholed as a scumbag, as a liar, as a cheater, as it only cares about money. And, of course, most people who say things like that have no clue what they're talking about because they've never been put in the scenario of having to risk everything. It really comes down to risking everything. You're putting up money. You have to get licenses. You've got to get fees. You've got to pay taxes. You've got to deal with sponsors, fighters, coaches, managers, the media, newspaper, radio, TV, ticket sales, graphic designers. It's literally a madhouse. And, one of my best friends, Stephen Quadros, the fight professor, he straight out told me, do you know how to make a small fortune in MMA? I said, no. He goes, start with a large one. Because, there is so much involved. And, there are times, like I said, the reward, yes. The reward is really cool because, of course, I MC my own shows. So the reward's cool when you see what you've put together. And, there is no man is an island. It takes a lot of people to put this show together. I do not in any way, shape, or form claim that this is my baby. Yes, I own it, but there's no way I could have done this without the help of others. But, of course, at the end of the day, I make the final decisions, and I write all the checks. But, like Dusty said, having been a fighter, I knew what it meant to be a fighter and what you put yourself through, body, mind, soul, everything, what you're willing to risk. Now, of course, nobody forces anybody to be a fighter, but, hey, it's something that you're passionate about. So at the end of the day, when the show is there, when I first say, "Are you ready for the Victorium?" Man, it's just the coolest thing. As you guys know, you've all been to live shows. There's nothing cooler, but it's also even way cooler when you're announcing at your own event and you see all your hard work and everybody hard work behind you who do believe in you, how it comes together. And, you know, I like being a Virginia show, but let me tell you, with the people behind me, it's not going to be a Virginia show for too long. We are really, really, really branching out with, you know, things to look forward to nationally, and that's ultimately the goal.
Dusty, when you have a guy that pretty much puts his balls out on the line for the fighters, you know, and you know that the intentions are good and he's, you know, put in the work behind the scenes and everything's above board, does that motivate you more to go out and try to put on a show?
Oh, it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, me as just being a man, when somebody, you know, gives me an opportunity, like I said, just being a man makes you want to give back and make it a mutual business relationship. But yeah, when you have somebody like Gio that goes above and beyond, it makes you want to do the same. And I can honestly say I didn't go back to work. After the last fight, I went straight into promoting this event. I haven't worked, you know, so I took away, you know, some of my personal finances so I could spend full time between training promoting this event, so I could make sure that it was a big success. Because you know, I want to see all the hard work pay off for not just me but him too. And you know, like I said, I know he's a fair guy, so it'll pay off for me too.
How hard was that for you to kind of put everything on hold, take that risk? Because, you know, let's face it, a lot of guys do it these days, but it's such an unknown to leave a job, to focus on, to be selfish, you know, to focus on yourself, but also, you know, help and promote this event, so much on the line. Like, was it a hard decision for you to make?
You know, in retrospect, no. At the time, it did seem very hard because you're kind of raised to think that you got to work and it's all about, you know, that's kind of the American lifestyle. And but man, that, you know, at my best place ever career-wise, I had never been more miserable because that's not what I wanted to do in life. There's no amount of money that is equal to doing what you love. So I don't care what it's cost me, financial relationship-wise or what, because it certainly has cost me. But you know, it's way more worth it to do what you love, and I don't care how long it takes or how many more sacrifices. I'll keep doing what I'm doing because it's I'm happier doing it regardless of money.
Giovanni, I've seen your pictures. How do you not look like you're 90 years old now? All the stress, all that stuff going on, you're holding up pretty well.
Well, considering I'm the graphic designer and I design every single one of those posters, I can do magic for myself.
That's amazing. Like, I don't know, listening and knowing what you've been through over the last, 2 years, I've almost got an ulcer. How you talked about the people keeping you grounded, but physically, how have you just not went crazy?
God was good to me. When I was born, he said, "Thou shalt not be fat or bald." And that's the only thing that's keeping me sane because I eat chocolate all day long. I drink sweet tea. I drink energy drinks. I just finished off a bag of potato chips. I don't think Dusty would cringe at my diet, but I can't remember the last time I actually ate a healthy meal. I'm just extremely fortunate God gave me really good genes.
The listeners, just the jealousy pointed at you right now is just off the charts.
Absolutely.
Dusty, what's left in camp for you? This is fight week. All the hard work is time to show it on Saturday night, but you still got these last couple of days. What's left in the tank for you this week?
The rest of this week, there's just a little bit of light training. I like to rest and let my body recover for the fight. So like I said, just light training. I'll be continuing to promote the event, and that's about it. From here it's a little more physical rest and more of just kind of the mental game. Preparing and visualizing what you're going to do.
As somebody who's, obviously you've put your body up as collateral for this fight, through your training, you put your time up promoting it. What's the payoff, man? I mean, other than your fight, what's the fight that you can't wait to watch, as a fan?
Oh, man, that's hard because, I'm not just saying to promote it. I can honestly say this is by far the best non-UFC card I've ever seen, and not just in Virginia. But if I had to pick one of my training partners, Dewan Owens, the MMA Institute, and Dustin Pague, I'm a big fan of both fighters. They are two really high-level good fighters. And more than anything, their styles is what's going to make such a good fight. They're really exciting fighters, and it's a close matchup.
I got to say, I've got to see Dustin on TV. I've seen Dwan in action live. Like, this could be a high-powered, this is a TV fight. Let's be honest. This is a fight that could main event God knows how many of the cards that we've seen here lately. Giovanni, when you've got this and you get to see this play out, you get to introduce the fighters. I mean, this got to give you chill bumps, right?
It does, like I said, man, I really feel fortunate. I look at a Joe Rogan, who I know personally. I mean, Joe is commentator for fights that I've been in, and I feel to myself, wait a minute, you know what? I'm experiencing the same thing, just not on that exposure level yet. I mean, there are times I've watched the UFC and go, holy crap, I've got guys on my cards that are as good or better and have put on better shows than some of the fights. I mean, you can't have a winner every time on the big stage, but I've got guys on my cards that I'm going, you know what, they belong there, and obviously Dustin belonged there. He's been there. And some of these guys have been, scouted. That's how Brett got for Bellator. And some of these guys are fighting some of the other big shows and are getting scouted for these big shows, and I'm just very fortunate that I'm part of that whole thing.
It's going down this Saturday night. The hotels, Giovanni, not very many rooms left. You're doing something right. You've about booked it up.
Yeah, we're lucky. Everybody at Comfort Inn and Suites and Hampton Inn through Monique Robinson up in Gloucester, they've been phenomenal for us for sponsoring the show, and I talked to Monique today. They're booking rooms like crazy. We've got 20, well, who knows? Earlier this morning there were 21 rooms left at one hotel and 20 in the other, but they are going fast. I mean, even, Dusty's told me people are coming down. I've got other people telling me they're trying to book up rooms, so, we're hoping these places get, everybody does it in the next day or two because they are going fast, so, I'm pretty excited about that. Then right across the street, I mean, literally across the street from the hotel is where we're doing the weigh-ins at Damon's Sports Bar. They're also providing food at the venue, at the show, and then we're doing our after party there. So if, people are too tired to after the after party, whatever, if there's any rooms left, they can just walk on over and get a great rate over at the Comfort Inn and Suites. So we're pretty excited about that. Monique, like I said, she's been nothing but great to us, and the whole staff at both hotels. They got their ringside tables. They're very excited to be there.
Talk to me about the venue, the Abingdon Ruritan Club. What can they expect when they get there?
It's going to be a festival type of atmosphere. It's where they do their seafood festivals up in the Hayes and Gloucester and Matthews. It's pretty cool. It's a outdoor venue, but it's got two little pavilions where the cage is going to be under, and our VIP tables and seats, and everything else is general admission, so people can bring blankets or chairs or can stand. It's kind of like I said, a festival, concert, whatever. We have a great band. It's called the Cover Up, and Harley Barker is the lead guy on that. So they're opening up the show, so we're super excited about that. We're going to have a cornhole, and we got a girl who does paintings and stuff like that. So, we wanted to make it more than just come in, have some fights, and leave. We really wanted to have a family atmosphere, and, there's not a heck of a lot going on in that area, Gloucester, Hayes, so we're expecting a huge crowd. My daughter, Isabella, who sings at all my shows, she's doing the national anthem. Cover Up, we'll do an intermission show as well, and, then we're going to a good after party, like I said, over at Damon's.
Not just fights, ladies and gentlemen. This is an event, and that's what, when people leave, you want them to think, man, I was just at a party, but there were some fights too. And then it's like, it's that experience.
Yeah, that's what I came from a musical. I was a music major in school. I was in a band. I did theater, and I was in the acting business in California. So to me, it's all about the production. It's all about the visual. When people come, I want them to go, wow, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Look, we've all seen MMA at its, I hate saying the word lowest level, but it is what it is. There are some people who just throw shows together, put them in barns, put them in little places. It's just a bunch of guys that you would see in a backyard brawl. And it's fun, don't get me wrong. The energy's still there and you like it, but most people leave and go, okay, what's next? Whereas I always like to pride myself on the fact that when people leave, the first question is, wow, when is the next show? I cannot believe what I just saw. And I'm bringing more people. So that, to me, is what it's all about. It's aside the fact that they just saw some talented fighters, that they also said, that was an incredible show. I will never forget it, and I cannot wait for the next one.
Absolutely. Dusty, how do you see your fight playing out, man? What do you know about your opponent? How do you see things going down Saturday night in the cage?
Oh, I see an exciting fight. It's good stylistically. I haven't personally seen my opponent fight in person, but they haven't fought in any of the same cards. But I know Gio and the matchmaker had seen him fight and told me knock the two guys out, we have to stand up and make an exciting fight. I'm looking to go in there and knock them out too. So if you got two guys looking to knock each other out, you're going to get an exciting fight.
How much is on your plate to erase that loss from just a couple months ago?
Oh, everything. There's nothing so much worse than a loss. So, yeah, especially in front of my hometown, too. I'm, not just looking to go out there and get the win, but I'm going up there to make it really impressive, too.
I love it. Giovanni, was the matchmaker calling in? Or is he with you?
He's not. It's actually, funny enough, it's his anniversary today with his fiancée, Jessica Castle, so I really don't know. He told me he apologizes profusely, but they were doing something tonight, and he was going to do everything possible to get on, and I'm hoping in the next, as long as we're still on, I'm hoping he gets on there, but as of right now, he is celebrating his 3-year anniversary with his fiancée.
Well, by all means, he needs to take care of that woman, because you've had
Absolutely.
You've got a good woman on your side who's been with you for a while now, right?
Yeah, Nicole Mitchell's great. She's been with me for all 3 Victoriums. She's definitely. I mean, there's nobody that has seen more of the up and downs in the last year than her. And whenever you have anybody who's by your side, they want you to succeed, but they also want you to be honest with a lot of what the things that are going on. So there are times she has said, what are you going to do if this doesn't transpire? And it is an honest question because, it's easy to have people rah and root for you, but you also got to have people that keep you grounded and say, look, you got to be honest with yourself and honest with the people around you. You've got kids, you've got this. What are you going to do if it's not a success? And I diligently had to ask myself that question, and it's my entire adult life has been fighting and music. I really don't know too much else. So, this show at this juncture has got to be a success. Otherwise, I'm going to have to be sweeping up at BluegrassMMA Radio at the station.
Oh, we could get you a job. We could.
Yeah, well,
we'll support
it.
you.
Thank you.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, after the last show, you boarded up and you went to Italy. Any big plans to decompress after this one?
Well, it's kind of been reversed this year. Nicole and my daughter Isabella, my mom Marisa, and my mom lives in L.A., but Nicole, my daughter, and I, we spent 17 days in L.A., but it was a total working vacation. I was online every day, working on posters every day, contracts, dealing with fighters, sponsors, etc. So we just got back last week, and from the moment we got back, we've just been busy getting the show back in order. So, the reason that was is because we were supposed to have the show a couple months ago, but again, due to some contractual disputes with a few venues and a couple other changes, it just ended up playing out that we decided to move the show to July. But by then, I had already planned the vacation with my daughter, and Nicole. But it was fun. She did not want to come back. I prefer LA to Virginia, but I spent 17 days living with my mom, my girlfriend, my daughter, my mom's roommate, their 2 dogs, and the cat, and I slept on the couch for the entire time. So it was nice to get back home to my own apartment.
That's amazing. One of the things that I find value in MMA promotions, you guys have done it so well, is the quick turnaround to get the video up so people can actually see your product. You know, and you guys have a great YouTube channel. I've seen the fights there. It's amazing. Who's helping you with the production aspect of the show?
I use a guy named Brandon Verts, Purgatory Productions. He used to do a lot of wrestling shows out here in Hampton Roads. I can't remember how he found me, but he called me last year, a little more than a year ago, said, "Hey man, I'd love to talk to you about, doing shows." I met with him and one of his other production team guys, Bobby, and I said, "All right, you're my guys." So they do a great job. They come in. Our first show, it was a 4-camera shoot. The last show was a 3-camera shoot, only because of the logistical problems with changing the venue within 4 hours. And we're coming into this one. I just had a meeting with Brandon, I think 2 days ago, and we're going to be doing a live stream through Go Fight Live. So, for all the people who are listening who can't make it to Virginia, of course, all they got to do is come to the website and they can click the Go Fight Live link and they can watch the show and see all of Brandon's, fine camera work. And then myself and David Arvelo are going to be doing the live commentary as well. Now, the way it works for the Go Fight Live, we are only doing a single camera shot, even though we're videotaping in 4 cameras. But we'll do for the post-fight production stuff, we'll do all the multi-camera stuff. But for the live stuff, because we don't have a switcher, those things are crazy expensive, like $15,000. Because we don't have one, we're just going to be able to do a single live, straight shot. But it's a very high-quality, high-def camera. So, again, we're going to have a really great people are really going to be able to watch the fight live in a very clear, high-quality, video.
I think our weekend's booked now. Juan can cover one show. I can watch the Victorium. It's going to be amazing.
It is going to be a great show. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's show of the year, and I think it's got the potential truly to be the show of the year here in Virginia, if nothing else.
What's great is I didn't know that. I should have known that, but you can go to BluegrassMMA.com. We're going to slap the poster up of Victorium 3. You click it, you go right to Go Fight Live. You can order it right through Bluegrass MMA and watch it right there.
That's great, man. We like that. We're very excited to have that. Just the whole, it's so funny because Keith Evans from Go Fight Live contacted me. I really didn't even know. We talked about doing some pay-per-view stuff, but I just did not know how it worked at all. They contacted me and explained how it worked. I was like, oh my God, how could I pass that up? Anybody that isn't willing to do that. And yeah, are we nationally known? Of course not right now, but they do all the marketing. To me, even if we had, just 50 people clicking on and watching the first 20 minutes for free, which is what they allow, if nothing else, and they decide they're not going to buy it, well, it's always it tickles the funny bone, and then, the curiosity, and then either they're going to do it or possibly the next one. But it just really legitimizes us in terms of national exposure and just the name recognition. Oh, Victorium. Oh, yeah, I've heard of them. I saw them on Go Fight Live, or I was clicking around. So anybody who is not willing to go that next step and take it to, pay-per-view, even though it's online, they'd be foolish not to. And as soon as I got that offer to do so, I didn't even think twice about it. I knew that's what we had to do. So we're pretty happy about that.
Juan's ears have just perked up because we've been saying this forever. Go Fight Live, we're a great partner with them, and you can go every weekend and catch great events. And if you're not trying to get outside your bubble, which I consider like a 100-mile radius of where you're at,
right.
It's amazing how many people from North Dakota, from California, from Arizona, Texas, that will at least venture their way to see what you're about.
Right.
And then your laurels will obviously keep them glued in, or they'll move on or whatever, but at least you have that opportunity to reach farther than the reach you have right there in Virginia. I love it, man. That's I wish so many people just don't get that.
Yeah.
And it's very comforting to hear that you get it, because it's a thing that's available, and it's amazing for guys like us who are 8 hours away. We can be right there with you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I've worked with about 20 different other promoters over the years, and I was actually the promotions director for a couple promotions, and the bigger they got under my guidance, they actually started to get freaked out. I even had one promotion tell me they're getting too big too fast, and they let me go. They said we were very happy. We're very happy with 300 or 400 people. I mean, I was taking them from 300-400 people to 2,200 people in less than 2 shows, and they really freaked out and let me go, and they went right back to 300-400 people. They were very happy, and then they eventually went out of business. But I was surprised. I mean, I was like, why are you doing this if this is all you really want? I mean, I wouldn't even want to do it if I was only planning on being a mediocre show in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I wouldn't even started it. The only reason I started this show is because I want to compete and be bought out by the UFC. That's my goal.
I feel like so many people are so prideful to even say that. Like they want to be bigger. They want to be I mean, that's like the perfect model right there. Get their attention, then get their money.
Right. Nobody's going to get. I don't care who you are. No, unless just some magic happens, nobody's going to be bigger than UFC. At least not in anywhere in the future. So to deny the honest truth about it is it's foolhardy. So I look at it as I can be a big competitor, and they're either going to go poo-poo me, or they're going to say, wow, this guy has a product that we need to absorb. And, that's like I said, that's my goal, man. And then let's say they do absorb it. Well, there's nothing stopping me from starting the next one. And, I was talking to Dusty today at dinner, and I told him my plans for new designs of cages and a few other things, and he's like, oh, my God, that's amazing. You will totally set yourself apart from other events, and that's the key, yes. What they say, imitation is the biggest form of flattery, but aside from imitation, you also got to be an innovator. You got to have the combination of the two. Otherwise, you're always just going to be second best. And some of the ideas I have for future shows and what we're going to implement is really going to make us stand out from every other event out there, period.
Dusty, you've got a chance to fight in your hometown now, but you have this opportunity to have so many more eyes on you. What's that mean for you? Like, that's big for sponsorship. That's big for, fight opportunities. That's a big deal, I would think, for a fighter.
Yeah, all those things are great. But I think most of all, man, most people will not get the chance to fight in their hometown because there's only a few big cities that have, events. So if somebody would have told me 5 years ago I could have brought the biggest regional professional MMA event to my hometown, it'd have been too hard to believe. So I'm just excited more than anything to be able to bring something that big back to my hometown and, just be able to show everybody, man, if you really go after what you love and you stick to it, you can make big things happen. And, hopefully that'll inspire some other people to get out of the stupid 9-to-5 rat race and go after what they love.
Dusty, I appreciate you joining us, man. We're going to bring Dave on here in just a second. But before I let you go, I want to give you a chance to give any shout-outs or thank yous or anything you want to throw out there to our listeners.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I'd like to give a shout-out to my biggest sponsor, Brad Perkins with Elite Construction, Roy Jenkins with Toucan Tattoo, Newport News Nutrition Quarter. Check them out for your supplement needs and the Newport News. Hooligans United Clothing, and I believe that's it.
Well, man, I appreciate it. We will be tuned in on Go Fight Live this Saturday night. Until then, Dusty, take care, my man.
You too. Appreciate the time, guys.
Dusty Shaw, everybody, returning to the Victorium. Let's bring on, I guess, Giovanni, I would say, the Valium to your anxiety. Would that be fair to say when we talk about Dave Arvelo?
He is definitely a soothing he's a soother. I mean, I don't even know what else to say. He just is definitely he is a calming effect because I don't have an inside voice, and I really let my feelings known sometimes far too much. David has to calm me down. David has to call me. He's got to text me. He's got to say, stop saying that. Don't do this. And I'm like, all right, okay. So it's pretty hilarious, and it's funny because I'm 20 years older than he is, and he's the one who's having to shush me all the time. It's pretty funny.
David Arvelo, thank you so much for joining the program, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Man, I did not even know, wouldn't even ask, but it's your anniversary, and you have to work tonight.
Yeah, it's all good, man. You know, it's kind of being involved in the MMA sphere of things. I mean, you know, oftentimes most of the stuff that I end up getting done tends to be in you know, the nighttime hours. I mean, I'm kind of a night owl anyway, so honestly, I kind of prefer that because I honestly just feel more productive at nighttime.
How does it feel to be the yin to Giovanni's yang?
You know, it's cool. You know, it's I think it works out well. I mean, me for the most part, you know, as long as it doesn't as long as the situation doesn't involve like impending physical harm, I tend to, you know, stay pretty even keeled all the time. You know, so I you know, I mean, there are definitely things that happen, you know, as far as you know, dealing with stuff like with the show, you know, and matchmaking, guys pulling out of fights for, you know, suspect reasons and things of that nature. That definitely stressed me out, but you know, I tend to just kind of take that stuff in stride and, you know, tend to not focus too much on, you know, how stuff can suck and just kind of just focus more on just moving on. So, you know, I definitely, you know, got no problems helping Gio do that, you know, whenever he needs. So it's all good. I mean, he's you know, despite the fact that, you know, there's a decent age gap between us and stuff like that, you know, we kind of are the yin to each other's yang, so it's all good.
You've speaking of things that suck, you've had to plug holes, fill the need, and the fight card still looks amazing. It's, you know, you get down to like the last 2 weeks, and sometimes things fall apart, sometimes things fall together. But you've done a great job at what's being billed as one of the best shows in Virginia history, man. How fulfilling has putting this card together been for you?
It's been good. I mean, you know, I've been around the sport and have loved it since the winter of 2006 when I was walking through a FYE store with Christmas money and saw some random UFC DVDs, and so I thought it looked interesting, so I got them, and I've been hooked ever since. You know, but you know, and I've followed the Virginia, you know, MMA scene for a while, and you know, having this opportunity and stuff, you know, it's like I've always, you know, tried to have and maintain good relationships with coaches and, you know, fighters and stuff because I've been involved in, you know, MMA too on the journalism side for a long time. And, you know, but it's good, man. You know, it's like there's a lot of talent in Virginia, but a lot of guys don't have quite as many professional opportunities. And, you know, it was really great to be able to, you know, be a part of that and to help kind of further the careers of a lot of Virginia's pros and, you know, at the same time, like make fights that, you know, for anyone who knows anything about the Virginia MMA scene, I mean, a lot of these fights, you know, are between really good guys and, you know, will be very exciting too because guys are matched up well. And, you know, I think a lot of these fights on the card will be, you know, really exciting. It is unfortunate that, you know, in most instances, one person is going to lose. But you know, at the same time, man, I'm really looking forward to Saturday and being able to you know, finally see all the work I've, you know, done kind of come to fruition. So
my first big assignment was to go to Fairfax for UFC on Fuel TV, and it was a great card, all that. But the first impression I got was there was like 86 members of the athletic commission there. What's going on there? Because I feel like everybody and their brother had on a Virginia Athletic Commission shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, with that maybe being one of the first, you know, kind of big time shows that came to Virginia, I think they just wanted to make sure that that it was properly officiated, and they probably had every single representative that works for the athletic commission working that night, to be honest. And I've heard some speculation before that maybe there were some extra shirts and stuff like that, and that some people were just standing around and stuff. But who knows? I mean, I think in all of my experiences with the state athletic commission, Dave Holland and Tracy Fagan are pretty awesome people, and people have expressed issues and with judging and stuff like that, but that's something that happens all over the place. I mean, I don't think in very few instances do people does a card go down and there's not some kind of issue with judging when fights are going to decision. I mean, I think a very good recent example of that is it wasn't even in Virginia, it was in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, when Diego Sanchez fought Ross Pearson, and Sanchez is on the receiving end of what I thought was a convincing 30-27 beatdown, and then he lost the fight. So, or he won the fight rather. So, I think, all in all, man, I think that like a growing athletic commission, I think Virginia will definitely get better over time. But yeah,
I feel like the promotion of this event has been great. I've seen all the great posters. Hell, the refs have posters. Why doesn't David Arvelo have a poster? Why don't we?
I do actually. Yes, I'm on there. It's got a picture of me wearing a Harley Davidson shirt. It just says David Doombeard Arvelo. I do have a poster. I've had a poster for a while, man. It stinks you didn't see it, I guess.
I'm gonna be researching it. I got to check this beard. I'm a beard guy myself.
Oh, right on, man. Good stuff.
What's your product?
Oh, well, I use shampoo and conditioner, like beard shampoo and conditioner from this company from Tennessee called Beardition. Also to, cut down on the beard flakes and stuff, my fiance, she got me about I'd say close to 2 years ago, started exfoliating a couple times a week. That really cut down on the dry skin and stuff. So it, keeps my beard looking nice and flake-free. But, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting, man, because we've got a couple of guys fighting on the card who've got some solid beards going on, and they got the beard advantage, as I like to refer to it. So, and it is real. So, we'll see what happens. I actually did some research to substantiate that. I spent the better part of a day researching every UFC card, including all the fight nights and everything else from UFC 1 up until now, and I keep looking at it from time to time, and it's right at above 72% of the time. Whatever fighter has the beard and/or facial hair advantage in the fight wins.
That's amazing. I'm going to steal that. I will credit you, but I'm going to have to start throwing that around.
Oh, that's fine. I do it whenever I write about fights or anything else. I will note, which fighter has the beard advantage, and whether after the fight, if that ended up being, maybe something to win. But I've always said it, but then I finally just went and did the research, and it is entirely true at the highest level of the sport, even. So
that's amazing. You get to sit back and commentate for the night. So you know all these guys intimately. I feel like your job's going to be pretty easy once you get behind the microphone.
Yeah, I think it will. I think obviously from a commentary perspective, Giovanni definitely has considerably more experience in the sport. I mean, he's been around it for probably longer than I've been alive, to be honest.
Let's just say 100 years. I think that's fair.
Yeah, somewhere right around there. But he's done it for a while, and he himself is a pretty well-traveled and accomplished fighter and practitioner of various combat sports and stuff. So from a technique standpoint, he's obviously going to know a lot more than I would and stuff. Although I have been training since 2008, but it's. But I do know all these fighters and stuff, and I've seen a lot of their fights before. So as far as guys' different skill sets and things like that, I'm pretty familiar with all that. So I definitely think it'll be very organic, and it'll just it'll be yet another bonus, besides just being able to sit and watch all the fights that I was able to put together.
How easy was it for you? Because we've talked at length, with Giovanni here about how he has this great reputation amongst fighters, of course, coming from the background himself. How easy was it for you to get the guys to fight? Because I feel like, real recognizes real, so people would gravitate towards that, so it probably made your job a little easier.
Yeah, it's for the most part, making most of the matches and stuff, it came pretty easily for the most part. I mean, on some cards you look at it, especially at the regional level, and you see, some of the squash matches and stuff. You've got a really good up-and-coming guy who's maybe 7-1, and he's fighting a dude who's 1-11. You know what I mean? You've got some fights like that, where it just kind of it looks bad. Whereas I was very super honest and upfront with all fighters and coaches and managers, and the fact that from a matchmaking perspective and from a promotional perspective, we have to do things in a manner that promotes financial solvency. I mean, tons of regional shows all over the country have come and gone because they pay purses that sound good in theory, and when you look at the numbers at the end of the night and you look at a fight and that whole fight netted you a 900% loss, well, it's really ugly when you extrapolate that over, the greater part of a card and stuff. But, I was also very honest about, the fact that I want to create competitive fights regardless of what guys' records or skill level is at. So, I think that, I didn't really have too much in the way of problems like some people have had as far as putting together matchups and stuff because, I think, all the matchups that I've ever really tried to make for the most part, make sense. And, most coaches and managers and stuff kind of saw that, I wasn't, I've never, ever tried to stack the deck against anybody. Every fight on the card is about as evenly matched as it can get. It's like some guy might be a little bit more dominant in one discipline than the other. But for the most part, it was good. I mean, there were some instances where, there were some difficulties and, it's not just here, but it's everywhere. You have some guys who really aren't going to fight unless you provide them with an opponent who, by all accounts, they should just completely blow through. But, it's I think like some other promotions and stuff, we don't really have time for that. I don't want to, I don't want people to look at, a fight and, think, because that looks bad for us, too, if we're putting a, much more, developed and skilled guy up against a guy who's just, probably going to get blown out of the water. That's just not good. It's just definitely wrong in my opinion. So, for the most part, it was good. And, it's like there are some guys, who I had come into contact with that, just kind of proposed things that just didn't really make sense. And, I just kind of moved on from that, So it was pretty good for the most part. And then, I think the honesty and everything else, just kind of helps as far as that goes. People know where I stand 100% of the time. I'm kind of unconcerned about, politics or, what people think about certain things. It's like, I'm super honest about everything, as far as, putting guys up against each other. And, guys know that I'm not going to, I think they know that I'm not going to, propose a fight that doesn't make sense for their guy.
As our hour is almost over, David, before we go, man, I want to give you a chance to throw any shout-outs or anything you want to add to the card, maybe fight of the night. What do you got for us? What's that one last pitch to get people to buy the pay-per-view or show up Saturday night?
Well, as far as, coming to the show or, buying the pay-per-view is concerned, I mean, you're going to see, from a talent perspective, one of the best, if not the best, card from a talent perspective that's ever hit the state of Virginia. All these fights are matched up very well to the point where we're going to have very exciting fights. Guys with entertaining fight styles match up well with each other. So whether it's on the feet or on the ground, it's definitely going to be action packed. As far as any shout outs or thanks and stuff, I'd always like to thank Giovanni. He's been, despite some of the stress that we've, encountered over time, putting this thing together, he's just been an absolute pleasure to work with. And, it also, really makes me happy to be able to, take a proactive role in trying to, improve the MMA scene in Virginia, because it definitely does need improvement. Guys definitely need opportunities, and, I'm just really excited to be able to be a part of that and, help in the future, give Virginia fighters a lot more chances to be active and, build up the kind of records that they need to build up to be able to, eventually move on to bigger shows.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on here. Happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry you had to come to work, but, man, it was great to talk with somebody behind the scenes. Can't wait to hear your commentary on Saturday. I'm going to go to Giovanni now, man. It's been a great hour. It doesn't feel like it's been an hour, but it's been an hour.
I know, man. It's crazy. I was just sitting here enthralled by both of your voices, and once again, I'm soothed.
You've got your dose of Xanax tonight, I guess.
No, if someone has one, I'll take it, but I don't have any.
Well, man, I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate the intestinal fortitude to keep carrying on in the face of so much adversity. It blows my mind, but I'm happy that you're doing it. I'm happy that we got to talk about the card. I'm even more happy that I'm going to get to watch it on Saturday night and go by live. But before I let you go, man, I know you've got some great people supporting you. You've mentioned some of them already, but here's your chance to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, I want to thank David Arvelo, matchmaker, the Doombeard Report, our big sponsor, Bradley Perkins, and Elite Construction. Everybody who is, on the card, of course, the main event, Dustin Pague and DeJuan Owens, Brett Glass, John Hughes, Dusty Shaw, Kyle Newsom, John Calloway, Josh Brown, JoJo Stringfield, Roy Smith, Daniel Yeagley, Alan Stevenson, Umit Yilmaz, Stephen Wampler. Oh, my God. Help me out, David. If I forgot some of these guys, I don't have the card in front of me. I apologize. But everybody involved in the card, Roy Jenkins Tattoo, sponsor. The Million Veteran March is the charity. We always have a charity at every single one of our events, and Eric Johnson, who's helping us out with that. We're very happy to have them. Damon's Sports Bar, who's providing for the weigh-ins, and, of course, the after party, Comfort Inn and Suites in Hampton Inn, and Monique Robinson. Ready Med Supply, Miller Lite, who's providing alcohol at the show, Cage Side MMA, who's providing our gloves for the show, and that's Mike King, who is one of the refs, and Todd McGovern, who's the other ref. We're very excited. Our brand new ring girls, Nicole Mitchell, my girlfriend, my daughter Isabella, the cover-up, and Harley Barker, who's performing the show, and my mom, Marisa Lemm, who, is one of my two main partners in the event, and, everybody else who's involved, and to all the fighters and coaches and schools. And if I didn't mention you, don't take it as wrong. I could go on all day long and thanking people and just letting everybody know, friends, family, fans, and those people who appreciate it, like you guys, Bluegrass MMA, and everybody over there. You guys have always been great supporting us, and we're just super excited to be, looked at as a serious promotion, and can't wait to go to the very next level.
Guys, you can go online, find them on YouTube, youtube.com/GeoFighter, facebook.com/The Victorium MMA. The website is VictoriumMMA.com, twitter.com/The Victorium. It goes down Saturday. Guys, thank you so much. We can't wait to see what happens.
Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure, and we cannot wait for the next time, and hopefully you'll be able to come down sometime.
Absolutely. Take care.
No worries, guys. Have a great night.
The Victorium goes down this week, and we will be there. We will be there in spirit, Juan. I didn't know they were going to go live.
I just talked to. That's what I hate about Blog Talk Radio. So I was on the private line talking with Kenny, and at 11
I think
o'clock,
I just accidentally hung up on him.
Probably. But it says, well, every time you're in the private chat, it automatically kicks you over. And I always forget about that. And so, as mid-sentence, as I was talking to Kenny, I got, so they're like, what the hell? But yeah, I forgot that Pinnacle was going to be on GSL as well until earlier today. So that takes me to drive up to. that saves me the drive of having to go to Pittsburgh for their show. I can just sit in comfort of my own home and
in your underwear.
In my
That's
underwear.
what I'll be doing.
Yeah.
I sat in my underwear for I got up and I went to Louisville for the knockout hour, but between UFC 175, the tough finale, and the World Series of Fighting, my ass prints are embedded in my office chair.
I can't put that on.
It sounds like you're far away.
To me?
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Well, I have a different setup tonight. I'm using a laptop.
Your sound card's not.
Was it this way earlier today? Or earlier this evening?
It was, yeah.
Oh.
We could just blame Blog Talk. I like to do that a lot.
I think it is Blog Talk. And I think we are getting into our third hour, so where we can hop off here and get into Skype. If you want to do that?
That's right. Let's tell Jimbo what we're doing.
All right.
Jimbo Atkins.
What up?
You chilling? You got time to talk?
Absolutely. I'm here.
All right. We're doing the third archive hour. We're going to do it on Skype and record it, upload it. So we're going to call you back here in just a minute.
All right.
Wait, you're on Skype too. Is your Skype? You got Wi-Fi? Or should we just call
yeah, I got Wi-Fi.
All right, cool. All right, let's I got to go. Yes. Juan, you tell McKinney we'll call him back, and we'll have the esteemed roundtable coming up here in just a minute.
Word.
That's badass. Are you still on? Are you still on the air right now?
Yeah, we're still on.
Yeah,
the
right.
air. Well, I mean, we're in the archive.
Shout out to Sidney Klein at Pikeville Combat Sports for getting his Crossing Gracie black belt. That's pretty badass.
He did get a black belt, man. I saw that. That's been a long time coming. I feel like he's been a brown belt for a long time.
To be honest with you, I haven't really kept track of Sidney's process. When I started 2010 with Steve, he had just gotten his purple belt from Mike O'Donnell. So he's went from a purple belt to a black belt in 4 years. That's pretty impressive.
Guys, I want to thank all of our guests tonight from Pinnacle Fighting Championship. We had Brandon Poindexter kicking things off, Matt Lashock, the point man himself, Nick Smiley. Listen, if you've not, just Google Nick Smiley, find the article about his life, and then you'll wonder to yourself, what have you been doing with your life? It's a true story. And then, of course, Giovanni Lemm. I know he's one of your favorites, Jimbo.
I love that guy. Giovanni Lemm is one of my favorite interviews of all time. I got Dwan Owens for the win. My absolute favorite interview of all time.
Over Dustin Pague? Yeah, because you all talked about chess.
Yeah, he's an MMA fighter, and he's also a chess instructor, or chess teacher, and he related chess to MMA and jiu-jitsu, and the dude absolutely blew my mind. I'm the biggest Dwan Owens fan there is out there.
He's got a tough task ahead of him, and, this is the first fight Dustin Page's had outside of the UFC. Or since being released from the UFC.
And if I'm not mistaken, Dwan's coming off a loss, and I also thought he retired after that. So, I was kind of sad to hear that, but I saw that he was fighting on this card, and I'm pretty pumped for it. I think he's going to come out on fire.
Guys, remember you can listen to us on Stitcher, on iTunes, on LiveSportscaster.com. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Gary Thomas MMA. Juan, you're at?
The Magic Diamond Juan.
You can also find him on Twitch there. I'm a little disappointed in your Twitch game. I always have one friend online. I look to see if it's you. It's never you. It was once last weekend. It was Hard Rock. So I got to play. I got the game with Hard Rock for a little bit.
What does Juan Twitch? That My Pretty Pony for PS4?
No, man, I got him on the Hearthstone kick, dog.
For what?
Hearthstone.
That must
card
be
game.
Some shit I don't. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I had Diablo up when you came over though, didn't I?
Yeah.
I got Borderlands 2 downloading right now. It's the game of the year in 2012. See how that goes.
We're third hour.
But third hour coming up. Don't miss it. Be there or be square. We are out.
You've been listening to the Ohio Valley's #1 source for MMA, broadcasting on the ProMMANow.com radio network. Brought to you by Bangtown Fightwear. Bluegrass MMA Live. Join your host, Juan Valley and Gary Thomas again for Bluegrass MMA Live. And remember, fighters first, fans always.